got so much back, I think I'm never running out, yeah. Bust me down a wood, bitch, I don't do this for no clout, hey. I got so much back, I think I'm never running out, yeah. Bust me down a wood, bitch, hey, hey.
All right, so please welcome in Khori Bennett, a stud for Charlotte Independence in the USL League One. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, so I kind of just want to start. I just want to go back to the beginning. So I read that you're from Jamaica, and kind of just explain to me like what your life was like in Jamaica and how you ended up in the United States playing professional soccer.
Okay, so Jamaica means one of the best places on earth, to be honest. You know, I have great friends there. As everyone knows, the beaches, the food, the people are really nice, generally. It's just amazing. My childhood there is amazing. I can't complain, to be honest. My parents made sure I had, we didn't have everything, but they did their best to give me the things that I needed,
So did you play any how much did you play in Jamaica? Like what was like the scouting process like to get to where you are now?
Okay, so I started playing soccer. We call it football in Jamaica, but soccer in US.
We'll call it football in here, so that's fine with me. Yeah. That's what I call it. So
okay, perfect. So I started playing football at age 4 at a local club called Santos FC.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 2 minutes from where I grew up. I played there until the age of, let's say, 10, about 10. And then one of the bigger clubs in the region named Real Mona, one of the coaches, I played against them, I played against them a few times, and I always scored against them, and did my thing. Then he scouted me to, join that team, Real Mona, and they were always winning the U13.
Yeah.
So I went there, did well, I got leading goal scorer for the U13s. I believe 1 year, we won it that year as well. And then the biggest club, I would say, in Jamaica, or one of the biggest clubs, Harborview FC, they scouted me. The coach that was the first team coach for Harborview was also the high school coach for my high school. And so it was pretty straightforward. Eventually went there. That's where I played my club football. I went to Covenant Prep School. Weren't the best. So prep school is like elementary school here.
Yeah.
So while there, you play club football. So while there, I was playing at Santos and then Ramona. My school didn't really do well, to be honest. It was a smaller school, but every year I would score like 20 goals. So that's where, people took notice.
Yeah.
Then I ended up going to the best high school in Jamaica, Wilmer's Boys School, and I played there, one U14, one U16, the U19. I won the knockout competition, but the major tournaments, I didn't win it. I also left high school with 2 years or 3 years of eligibility left. So, who knows? I probably would have won it if I stayed, I believe. Yeah, so that's pretty much, my life in football in Jamaica.
So even though you're playing for pro, do you wish you could go back and win that?
No. So it's good for bragging rights, but in the grand scheme of things, I think I made the right decision of foregoing that and, coming over to the States.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I made it to a final one time, but I never won it. So even though I've long graduated, well, not long graduated, but even though I'm graduated, it's still like, I still wish I had won it. But
yeah.
So you played for the Northeastern Huskies. So what was the process like to get there?
Okay, so while playing in high school and for my club Harborview, so at this point, playing for Wilmers and Harborview would give you the platform because these two teams always go to the final or semi-final where everyone is tuned in. So I remember playing in a game. So I was one of the younger guys in the U19 team, and coaches came from abroad to look at the guys who would probably look to go to college the next year, so seniors. And the coach saw me play, and he decided that he wanted to offer me, full scholarship. At the time, that coach was assistant coach for the Philadelphia Union when he came, and he was about to go to Northeastern, I believe. And he offered a scholarship, and it was an amazing feeling. A year and a half after that, I ended up, finally going to Northeastern. And yeah, that was pretty much how it was for me. I had other offers as well, like to different Division I schools around the country, but I think Northeastern at the time, based on how much interest they showed and everything, I think that was the best decision, and I had the best feeling about going there.
Yeah. So Northeastern is D1, right?
Yeah.
So what really and truly does it take to be a D1 footballer?
Well, a sacrifice, I can tell you. It's a lot of sacrifice, and for me, it was my first time living on my own, so that was a whole, process for me as well. I was actually living in dorms, so I didn't really have to cook that first year. I didn't really cook at home. My parents always did. I didn't have to cook that first year, but getting used to the food, like the cafeteria food, I loved it for the first 2 weeks, and then after that, I was sick.
I went through the same thing. I was so excited to get to my school and eat their food, and for some reason, when I got there the first week, I was like, "This sucks."
Yeah,
and I didn't eat there like the rest of the year.
Exactly. It was, it's a transition. It was a transition for me. As I said, when I got there the first week, because in the cafeteria you have pizzas, burgers and stuff like that. And in Jamaica, like, I ate pizza and burger, but not very often. You know what I mean? It was more a home cooked meal. You know what I mean? So, and pizza and burgers would be like a treat meal. Like on the weekends, my parents would get it and I would be excited. So when I could have it every day, I had pizzas, burgers.
Yeah.
I wasn't eating like an athlete. And then I got tired of it real quick.
Yeah.
And I got tired of the whole cafeteria food, and that was a big, turning point for me, in terms of what I put into my body, because I started feeling bad, and we train really hard, in Division I soccer, you're always in the weight room. You're always doing a lot of running, so you have to really take care of your body to, and that like a light bulb went off for me, like I need to do better, because, it made me sick, you're not performing to your best and getting injured and stuff like that. So that was a bit of transition. Met some really nice people there. Some lifelong friends that I have to this day, I met there as well. But it was definitely a big transition for me.
So what is Jamaican home cooked food? Like, what is stuff that your parents would make?
Okay, stuff my parents would make. So my favorite meal from my dad, for example, was brown stew chicken. So it's chicken. We have this seasoning called brown stew.
Yeah.
So you put that in it. He chops up like the onions, garlic, peppers, everything, season it. They normally season it like the night before, and then you have it the following day. That was like, I think, my dad's best meal that he could make. That
sounds good.
Yeah, he was eventually they'll see this, but I think he's the chef of the house, to be honest. He can really cook. My mom can cook too.
Yeah.
My dad is
that's how my dad is.
Yeah, my dad is the one who chefs it up. He does brown stew chicken. We have this like stew peas, so it's like beans over white rice in this sauce as well. Some people add meat to it as well. So that's another meal that was like I would say a traditional meal.
Mhm.
And then the meals that most people know about is like the jerk chicken,
Yeah.
you know, oxtail is getting very popular. I'm not sure if you know about that as yet, but the prices for it now I see in the US is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's getting very popular. You know, you have curry chicken. Those are the meals that most people outside of Jamaica would know, you know. So
Yeah.
jerk
My
chicken,
dad
jerk.
loves jerk. He
Yeah.
loves
So
it. He talks about it all the time.
yeah. So those are the meals most persons outside of Jamaica would know
Yeah.
Jamaica for, you know.
So what do you eat now that you're pro? Like what do you kind of eat the same kind of things, or is there a certain diet you have?
I try to, you know, have a very clean diet,
Mhm.
you know. So I'll have there's a Jamaican restaurant here in Charlotte. I met the owner a few weeks ago, you know. So I'll occasionally go there, but most of my meals are cooked at home, you know.
Yeah.
Um, you want to know specifically the meals I have, or
I mean, if you want to go in depth, you can.
yeah,
I
like
mean, you don't
for
have to tell
example,
me every single week by or day
yeah,
by
like
day, but
yeah, like most of my meals are pretty much home cooked, healthy, a lot of
yeah.
vegetables, a lot of lean meat, you know. I have my good carbohydrates, so like potatoes, sweet potatoes, you know, pasta when it's necessary, um, you know, rice, bread, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, and then I have, you know, I have my the stuff that I have maybe the day after the game, like ice cream or chocolate or something like that, just to, you know,
Yeah.
keep me sane.
I understand. So getting back to your college days, what was your favorite memory from your few years at Northeastern?
On the field or off the field?
Either or, which one? Whichever one.
Okay, so on the field, so tough one. So to be honest, in college, like we weren't we weren't uh we say like a winning school. Like most of our, it was really tough. We had to really grind and you
Yeah.
know grind for wins and points and stuff like that. So I think every time we would come up with a win, come up with a point, you know, I think the celebration after, the feeling after would, you know, you would really cherish it because of how hard you had to work to get it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there was not really a specific game that I would say, hey, this was the game that I was like, can't, you know, because we never really went to like the finals or anything. So it was more like every victory was like a final for me. So I celebrated all of those.
Yeah.
So I would say that yeah,
So it was,
there's
it was
no
really just
specific.
the wins. It wasn't, you didn't really take the wins for granted. It just meant a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your, because you went to Radford, what was your process like to transfer there? Why did you choose Radford?
Okay. So it goes back to my point earlier. When I was leaving Jamaica, there was a lot of offers to go to Division 1 schools,
Yeah.
and one of the coaches um was at USF, University of South Florida.
Hmm.
So that was one of the schools that you know I could have gone to, decided not to. So that coach, he um, ended up leaving USF and going to Radford. So he was the head coach there. He's now at a school in Texas. Um, so you know, eventually we got in contact because at Northeastern, really and truly, I wanted to be a pro, and you know, at the time we weren't doing well as a team. You know, for me personally,
Yeah.
always getting injured, you know, so there's a lot of frustration on my side and also on the side of the staff, you know. So there's, you know, the coach understood me. It wasn't anything, it wasn't like he left with bad blood or anything. He totally understood because he was a pro himself.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation and I explained my ambition and he, you know, totally understood. So it was between Radford and NC State at the time,
hmm
deciding which one. I think Radford was a better fit because, as I said, I had history with the coach
Yeah.
there, so I decided to go there. And that was that. Wasn't yeah.
So towards the end of your Radford career and your college career, what were your thoughts on your next step?
Okay, so I played. I'm not sure if you know, but I played in the USL two, USL PDL. with
Reading,
and
right?
yeah. So I played with Reading, and I had had some great years there. Scored a lot of goals. I think one of the best places that I've played at. It was a family atmosphere, very competitive, and some very good players. Every year at Reading, while I was there, at least 7 players would move on and get drafted in the super draft.
Yeah.
So, I knew what I wanted, and I could see it. I see the players, I train with them, play with them every day, and I see them move on to the next level. So I knew I was in the right place. So I did my thing there, and after that summer, I got opportunities to train with a lot of MLS teams, so Philadelphia Union, Red Bulls, and Columbus Crew. I got to train with them at that time, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
Really opened my eyes, and I went into Radford with the ambition that into that final season with the ambition of playing there and then moving into the MLS. That was my ambition. Didn't quite work out that way, but that was the mindset, because I could see it, and I felt that, I also had have the ability to make that step at that time.
Yeah. So go back to your time in the USL League Two. I actually work in the USL League Two, so I understand how deep the talent pool is there. So what was it like staying at the same team for 3 years? Because I know the people bounce around a lot year to year.
Yeah.
What was it like staying there and getting to know that team?
Yeah, so it was like, for me, most persons stay at the same college for 4 years, but for 3 years, for me it was Reading. Every summer I knew that I went there, it would be a competitive atmosphere. I knew that we would compete for the championship, and also I knew that opportunities would be opened up for me because, as I said, there's a lot of top players coming to Reading, so different eyes were on the team. As like all the time, there's eyes on us. We were at the time affiliated with Philadelphia Union. They'd always have coach watching our games, watching our practices. You do well, you go and train with the first team or the second team at Philadelphia Union. So it was something that it was in line with my goals, so I didn't see a reason to change it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you spent a little bit of time with the Philadelphia Fury, which used to be part of the NISA. So, and you only played one game, but what was your feeling when all that stuff happened with the league? What did you think after that?
Yeah, so that was one of the most craziest parts of my career, I initially, don't want to go into too much detail. It's what's on the bridge, to be honest, but I was a week before there was a USL championship team that, was like this close to signing with them. Everything was done, but at the time, being an international at the time was an issue because there's limited roster spots for internationals. So I was in a space of not really knowing what the next move would be. And my friend signed with them, and then he reached out to me and was like, hey, there's an opportunity here because the coach is looking for a forward. And I was already, in and around, I was in the Northeast, so I was not far from Philadelphia. We got in contact, signed there, boom. We played one game, and then everything came crumbling down. But if I'm being honest, you could see it coming because, I don't want to get into too much details about that, but like things weren't how it should be. You know, things were far from what it should be at the professional level, and you could see it coming. You know, the signs were there. So when it happened, it was like, you know, it was devastating, devastating.
Yeah, it seems like, unfortunately, there have been so many leagues in America that have come and gone. Do you think the system that we have now will stay with the USL and the MLS?
I think USL and MLS are very, very stable leagues and growing leagues as well. You know, you can see it for yourself, the quality in the MLS growing, quality in the championship growing, quality in League One growing as well. Because you look on the Open Cup, you see the results, and it speaks for itself. You know what I mean?
Many lower sides are beating MLS teams, which is crazy.
Exactly. So, you know, it speaks for itself. You know, I think there are stable leagues and growing leagues. So I don't, at least from my perspective, I don't foresee anything like that happening within USL MLS.
Hopefully it does stay, because I mean, the NISA, the PDL, so many leagues have come and gone. I think the USL system is set up great, and the money's going up every year, and the viewership's going every year. The quality in general is just going up every year. It's great.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about your time? Because you went to Spain for a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what was that decision like? And I'm going to see if I can pronounce this right. Cabezo de Torres, is that right?
Yeah, Cabezo de Torres.
All right. So what was your decision to go to Spain, and what was it like over there?
Okay, so it kind of was a long time coming, to be honest, going over to Europe. After the thing happened with the team in Philadelphia, I went home. I was in Jamaica. So I met this guy. He's pretty much a scout. He's like a scout.
Yeah.
Works with a few agencies over in Europe, and I was meant to go over to Europe right as soon as the pandemic hit. So it messed up me going over to Europe at that time, you know.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic hit, you know, we all just wanted to be safe. So stayed with family, and, you know, just making sure that everyone is safe, everyone, you know, is healthy. So that was the focus. And then after that, when stuff started to open up, you know, he revisited it, and he was like, hey, it's an opportunity to go over there. You know, might not be Barcelona or Real Madrid, but it's an opportunity to play over there and get some eyes on you. You know what I mean? So I took it with both hands, and I went over there, and, you know.
So what did you do while you're in Jamaica to stay in shape and to stay at top quality?
I trained on my own. Because at the time, you know, the pandemic was going crazy. So, you know, group sessions weren't really, no one was really thinking about having group sessions. So I trained on my own, a lot of running, a lot of, you know, doing workouts and stuff like that. Because outside of football, I'm kind of into fitness and health, you know what I mean? So I didn't find it tough. It was mentally tough to be not playing, but, you know, doing the runs and all the stuff to stay fit and active, you know, playing with the ball, just it opened up my creativity, to be honest. You know what I mean? So that's what I did for the most part. Tried to have as much fun with it as possible. And things started to open up slowly. You know, I had one friend training with him, then it became two, then it became a group session. You know what I mean? So that was pretty much how I, you know, went through the pandemic, staying in shape.
Yeah. So while you were in Spain, so what were some things that went right, and what were some things that went wrong while you're in Spain?
Okay, so it was a wonderful experience. Let me start off by saying wonderful experience. I love the area that we're in. It was a small city. It was not Madrid. I went to Madrid once, but it's a bit different to like a Madrid or Barcelona. Less busy, you know, very laid back, which is similar to what Jamaica is like. You know, people don't hesitate to take a break. Let's say that. Yeah. You know, as soon as they have a chance to take a break, they take a break, and, you know, people are just enjoying life. Fantastic city, fantastic, people, all of that. My teammates were fantastic as well. While I was over there, I I got injured within the first week, so I had to be doing kind of rehab for like about 2-3 weeks, maybe a month max. Yeah, and then once I came back from that, I played in the first game. I scored in my first game over there. Fantastic, guys continue to motivate me. Played in more games, I was scoring a lot, to be honest, over there. And I was, being a Jamaican over there, it gave me a lot of attention because it was always said that it's not normal for a Jamaican to be over in Spain, especially in that small city, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of attention off of that, on top of me doing well over there on the field, So great. Yeah, it was great experience. You said what didn't go right? You said stuff that was not much, but one thing that did happen, and I don't think it's something necessarily bad, but so I did well. Obviously the club wanted me to stay for a next year and a half because the coaches, the board, they all believe that I could make the next step, which would be into possibly Segunda B, which is the third tier. So you have La Liga, Segunda A, Segunda B. So that would be the third tier, the board, everyone. So we all spoke. They spoke to my agent, and they wanted me to stay for a year and a half. And we all agreed that, hey, I would stay, and then we make that move, maybe after the year and a half, or maybe, before that. Depends how things work out. Yeah. And it didn't quite work out for reasons out of my control and out of my agent's control. Work permit issues and stuff like that. So, that was the only bad thing per se, but I wouldn't say it's bad because it led me to Charlotte. So
how did it lead you to Charlotte? What was the process like getting to Charlotte?
Yeah, so I actually was with Charlotte in preseason last year. So not many people know that. I was in preseason with Charlotte last year and did well. The coach wanted to, he expressed interest in me in terms of signing and everything. But again, the same international spot was the issue with the team for me last year, being an international. And, it didn't quite work out. To be honest, he kept tabs on me through my agent, just asking, how am I doing, all of that stuff. And then this year, I guess they got in contact again, and, it just made it happen this year.
Yeah. So you've mentioned the trouble with the international spots multiple times, and you're actually not the first person I've talked to that's had that issue. So what do you think in this American system can be fixed to ensure more international players can play at higher levels?
To be honest, I don't think it's something that needs to be fixed. Being international, it really sucks. But I guess I'm just looking at it from the US soccer perspective, where you want your homegrown players to be afforded the opportunities to play. So they have to put a restriction on the amount of internationals that can be in a team, because possibly teams would have only internationals in the team, and guys who are American or born here, wouldn't get opportunity to play professionally. So I don't think it's something that's broken necessarily, but maybe a few more spots in the teams for international. Afford teams a few more spots. Yeah,
I know. The thing is, I know America is not the only one who does that, though. There's so many countries who do it. It's just,
yeah, pretty much every country does it,
It's just so many. I know in the Premier League, I don't think it's as many spots. I think you just have to have a minimum of English players. And I know it's like that in other leagues too.
Yeah.
So you said you trained with Charlotte, and were they in the championship at that time?
Yeah, so last year they were in the championship.
So what was it like training there with a championship side, and then what's the difference between then and now in the League One?
Okay, so it was good last year. I was enjoying it. I remember coming on, I came on in a preseason game and scored the winner. And, I felt good about that. In my mind, I knew I could play at the championship level. From off of that, as well as training with the guys. I would say the difference between the team last year in the championship and the team now would be just the age, to be honest. It was more experienced guys, so it's a lot of, I would say, like USL veterans in the team, or probably guys who played at a higher level and they're now playing in the championship. So I think that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So with that comes a lot more maturity, a lot more game management, etc. But I think now we have a pretty much younger team. I think majority of the team, to the exception of maybe 3, maximum 5 guys, majority of the team is under 25. So
oh wow, that's very young.
Yeah, so it's a different dynamic now where we have these hungry guys who want to go to a higher level. So I don't think there's a huge drop off in intensity or talent or ability. It's just more so maturity and experience. That was the main difference.
So how does the team, how do you feel? You don't have to disclose any details, but how do you feel, and how does the team feel about Charlotte FC?
Charlotte FC? Most of the guys support Charlotte FC. There's a few guys in the team who are actually signed to Charlotte FC and they play with us. So they train with the Charlotte FC and they play games with us. Most of us, we find it pretty exciting because, as I said, it's a group of hungry guys, hungry players who want to go to the next level. And our stadium is pretty much a 2-minute drive from Bank of America, where Charlotte FC plays, and everyone sees that and everyone wants to play at that level. So it's good. It's a big motivation, and I'm sure it was a motivation for me coming here, and I'm sure it's the same for other guys in the team.
I didn't know if there was any lingering dislike towards them since when they came in. Charlotte Independence was dropped. I didn't know if there was anything like that, but it's good that there's not.
At least not on the players side. Yeah.
So you guys are in 3rd place right now, which is very good. I was wondering who you thought was your biggest competition in the USL League One.
In the League One, to be honest, I can't pick out one team. Every game that I've gone in has been super competitive. Like, there's no game that you can go in and feel as if, this game will be easy. In this league, everyone wants it. Everyone wants to go higher. So everyone is giving their 100% in every game. So, I can't say that there's anyone who is more of a rival than the other. There's teams that are nearby who naturally they become your rivals because, for example, North Carolina's and the Greenvilles, but in terms of, I can't pick one team and say, hey, no, every team deserves the respect. Every game you go in, you have to give 100%.
So you scored your first goal against Omaha. What was that like?
Oh, that was crazy. It was a crazy sequence. It was a good cross, and when I hit the ball, I saw the keeper got his hand to it. I'm not sure if you saw it.
I haven't seen it. No, I meant to look into it, but I forgot.
Yeah, the keeper was kind of leaned back in the goal, and then he hit the ball out, and then he hit the post, and then it goes. So we are all appealing that. That's obviously a goal, because if you push the ball out into the post, that means it was behind the post. You know what I mean? And, the referee, thankfully the linesman saw it, because I don't think the referee saw it, because when I jumped, it was a big crowd around the goal, when I jumped to head it. So it wasn't clear for the referee. He couldn't see. But thankfully the linesman saw what we all saw. And then, it was in the 93rd minute, and it was 4 minutes of added time. So
I'm sure that felt great.
it was a fantastic feeling. Fantastic. We celebrated, because it was as I said, every game you have to give 100% from first whistle to the last. So it was.
I'm gonna go watch it right after this.
Yeah, go watch it. It's controversial, but you enjoy the whole thing of it. Yeah.
Well, you still got a long season, so I'm sure there's a ton more to come. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna start to wrap it up, and I'm gonna ask you, growing up in Jamaica, and who was your favorite player, and then now who is your favorite player to watch?
So favorite player, like overall, or favorite Jamaican player?
You can do both. They might be the same person. You can do both.
Okay, so my favorite Jamaican player growing up was Luton Shelton, rest in peace. So he's the all-time leading goal scorer for the national team. Every time I would go into the stadium, it was just to watch him, because he was so fast, and he scored goals, and he was just electric. Him, and also Ricardo Gardner, who played in the Premier League. He's like a mentor for me. So those two were my favorite Jamaican players. My favorite player overall was Thierry Henry. And that's why now I'm an Arsenal supporter.
You're not the first person to say that on here.
Yeah. Thierry Henry, man, like, gave me some great memories. Like, watching him, he looked like he was gliding. When he was playing, he made it look so easy. So
I went back and watched so many of his things he's done, and he was just that finesse shot, just how easily he did that.
Yeah, passing it to the far post, right? So he made me, pretty much fall in love with Arsenal, and the sport of football even more. And current player, I don't have a favorite current, but I love to watch, the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Neymar, and Messi and Ronaldo. So I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of players, but my favorite ever was Thierry Henry.
Great answer. That was a great answer right there. One more dumb question before we go. How did the country of Jamaica feel about when Usain Bolt went to play pro?
I mean, it was good and it was bad, in a sense. It was good because Usain Bolt represents Jamaica. Everywhere I have been, if they don't know anything about me or Jamaica, they always know about Bolt and Jamaica,
Yeah.
So they always go, for example, I go to Spain, everyone was like, Usain Bolt. And I was like, yeah, Usain Bolt, Jamaica, So I think it was good, because it kind of, we have Leon Bailey doing well in the Premier League. I mean, he's been injured, but he's a name that most persons in the football world would know Bailey's name. But Usain Bolt also, in that period of time, brought awareness to Jamaica again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the time, I think Bailey was lighting up the Bundesliga. So Bolt going to Dortmund, it just brought more attention to Jamaican players and, Jamaicans in the sport. So it was fun to see, but it was also, we know, like, he spent most of his time focusing on track and field. So and he's at the end of that. So it would have always been tough for him to break into a top European team or any team for that matter without the necessary preparation. You know what I mean? So it was good and bad, but it was definitely fun to see. And I have respect for him for trying, you know what I mean? Because most persons don't have the guts to go out and try something as bold as that.
So you're saying it's a good thing I didn't open this interview with a bunch of Usain Bolt questions?
No. I don't mind it, to be honest. I'm just saying, like, it's
Yeah.
something that most person, if they don't know anything about Jamaica, they know Usain Bolt. You know what I mean? So
one more question. How do you,
Yeah.
as a Jamaican striker, feel about Mikel Antonio?
Mikel Antonio,
Great.
good
I
for the
mean, he's been
national
having a
team.
great season.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been scoring a lot recently, but he's been doing very good. I think he has pretty good numbers in the Premier League. And, you know, as a Jamaican player, you have ambition to play for the national team. I do
Yeah.
I can say I do have ambitions to play for the national team at some point. And if you go into the national team and you have a player of Mikel Antonio's caliber, you can always learn something from him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's good. It's good for Jamaica, period. Like, players like that in the national team is good.
Warrior the rover, I'ma do this for my soldiers. Doing shit I'm not supposed to. I got lean all in